Hi everyone. So today we're going to start our first lesson in Unit 4, which deals with multiplying with exponents or powers. I'm going to take a couple notes on my side sticky pad just to go through some of the rules that are going to help us simplify some of these exponent problems that you'll have through Delta Math. All right, so when you are multiplying exponents, okay, you first want to make sure you multiply your coefficients. Okay, and just a reminder, your coefficients are the big numbers out front. Okay, so for example, in the problem that we have up on the screen, 3 and 2 would be my coefficients. Okay, so I would have 3x to the 5th times 2x to the 3rd power, y to the 3rd power. So my coefficients are the 3 and the 2. So I'm going to multiply those two things together, and 3 times 2 gives me 6. So after we multiply our coefficients, we are going to add exponents of same bases. Okay, so your bases, you have two different bases. You have a base of an x and a base of a y. So your bases, so for example, x to the 5th times x to the 3rd, I keep my base the same, so I keep the x, and I add 5 plus 3 to get 8. Okay. Then with my y's, I don't have any y's in the first, so I just have y to the 3rd, so y to the 3rd just stays y to the 3rd. Okay, if you don't have anything to multiply with the same base, it just stays exactly the same. So your final answer, I put it all together, is 3 times 2 is 6. Then I have x to the 8th power, y to the 3rd power. Okay, and it's all stuck together with multiplication. So I have 6x to the 8th, y to the 3rd, so I go to my answer. I want the keyboard because I need to use some of the special keys. So I have 6x to the power of 8, so I make sure it's in that exponent spot. Then getting out of the exponent, I have y exponent to the 3rd. Okay, I submit my answer. Looking good. I'm ready to go to the next problem. Okay, so I go to my sticky pad to do some work. I have negative 5xy squared times negative 8x to the 5th power times y. Now, this is a good one to practice with because you have a plain x and a plain y. Whenever you have just a variable and it appears that you don't have an exponent on it, that exponent is a 1. So I always put those sneaky ones in so I don't forget to add them when I multiply. So I'm going to multiply coefficients first. And I'm multiplying a negative 5 times a negative 8, which is equal to 40. Then I'm going to add my exponents on bases that are the same. So I'm going to have x to the 1st power times x to the 5th power. I keep my base the same, so I keep the x, and then 1 plus 5 gives me 6. Then I'm going to do the same thing with my y's because they have the same base. I have y to the 2nd power times y to the 1st power. Keep the y. I add 2 plus 1 to get 3. So final answer, putting it all together, I have my coefficient that I multiplied to be a positive 40 because I had a double negative, x to the 6th power, y to the 3rd power. So I go over to my answer, get my keyboard, and I have 40 x exponent key to the 6th power, get out of the exponent, so I hit y, and then 2 plus 1 again gives me to the 3rd power. Submit my answer. Okay, ready to go to the next problem. Pull up my sticky pad, get a new sticky. Let's get rid of this one. Okay, I have 4x to the 4th y squared times 4x y to the 4th. Okay, so the first thing I always do is go through and say, do I have any bases that don't have any visible exponents? So this x really has an exponent of 1, so I'm going to put that in there so I don't forget to add it with the 4 of the other x. So I'm going to multiply coefficients. So I'm going to get 4 times 4 for 16. Add exponents on same bases. So x to the 4th times x to the 1st is equal to x to the 5th. And then y squared times y to the 4th, keep my y, 2 plus 4 is going to give me 6. I put it all together in my final answer. 4 times 4 is 16. Then x to the 5th, y to the 6th. Oh, always remember to get out of that exponent when you go to do your next variable. Well, let me get out. Get out. Oh, there we go. This work. There we go. Y to the, what did I say, 6th power. Okay. Pull up my stickies. Oh. Okay, here I have negative x to the 3rd y squared times negative 13x squared y to the 5th. Okay, every base has a visible exponent, so I don't have to add in any ones. I have a double negative, so I'm going to end up multiplying. It's going to become positive, so I multiply coefficients. I'm just going to abbreviate. So negative 9 times a negative 13, I believe, is 117. Let me just check it on my calculator up here. 13 times 9, 27, and 11. Okay. And then add exponents. And remember, you're only adding them on bases that are the same. So you can't add an exponent on an x with an exponent on a y. Okay, so that are the same. So I have x to the 3rd times x squared. Remember, I'm adding exponents. Keep the x. 3 plus 2 is 5. Then I do my y's. Y squared times y to the 5th. Keep my y. 2 plus 5 is 7. All right, put it all together for my final answer. I'm going to get 117. It's positive because I have a double negative. X to the 5th, y to the 7th. Notice I just write everything right next to each other. So I have, grab the keyboard, 117, x to the 5th power, get out of the exponent, y to the 7th power. Oh, I didn't hit my exponent. Okay, there we go. Okay, I'll do one more. If you don't need to watch it, then you can go right ahead. Okay, so I have negative 11 x to the 4th, y to the 5th times 2x to the 5th y squared. Negative 11 times 2 is negative 22. X to the 9th, y to the 7th. Okay, I multiplied negative 11 times 2 to get negative 22. I added my exponents on my x, so I keep the base of x, and I add 4 plus 5 to get 9. And then on my y's, I keep my y the same and add 5 plus 2 to get 7. So I have negative 22 x to the 9th power, get out of my exponent, y to the 7th power. Oh, didn't write my exponent. There we go. So always just double check you're in the exponent when you're supposed to be. You're on the ground, so to say, on the other ones. Okay, so those are some example problems to help you do your Delta Math assignment. All right, any questions, let me know.